Before we go into this story, I want to ask you to do something. If you value the work our troops are doing and want to hear these first-hand accounts from the front lines, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep bringing you these stories that don't always make the headlines. Now, let me take you to the dusty terrain of Borno State, where early morning hours often bring more than just the call to prayer. Sometimes, they bring the crack of gunfire and the tension of a waiting game. Early on February 16, 2026, somewhere near a place called Papa 7 in Gwoza Local Government Area, a group of fighters from the Islamic State West Africa Province, or ISWAP as we know them, thought they were going to have a successful morning. They were moving, trying to navigate from one axis to another, probably thinking the cover of darkness, 4:30 a.m., would keep them safe. But here is where the story takes a different turn. They were the ones walking into a trap. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine the terrain around Gwoza. It is rugged, it is dry, and it is the kind of place where sound travels far, especially in the quiet before dawn. The troops of the 152 Task Force Battalion, walking hand in hand with local vigilantes, men who know these roads and bushes like the lines on their palms, had gotten wind of their movement. Now, at this point, we need to understand the mindset of these soldiers. They had been lying in wait. They weren't just patrolling, they had set up what the military calls an enfilade position. In simple terms, that means they positioned themselves so that if the insurgents walked into the trap, they would be caught in a crossfire they couldn't escape from. When the insurgents crossed that line, the troops sprang the ambush. The sources on ground describe the insurgents withdrawing in disarray. That is military language for chaos. They didn't just retreat, they scattered, they ran. And in their haste to save their lives, they left behind the very things they needed to survive and fight. This is where the story gets deeply interesting. When the shooting stopped and the dust began to settle, the troops moved in to sweep the area. What they found tells us a lot about who these insurgents are and how they operate. First, there was a Honda motorcycle and 3 bicycles. Now, let's pause and think about that for a moment. Why bicycles? In the dense terrain of the Northeast, where military drones and aircraft patrol the skies, motor vehicles with engines are loud and easy to spot. But a bicycle, it is silent. It can move through narrow paths. It doesn't need fuel. It is the kind of low-tech solution that high-tech warfare often struggles to detect. It reminds us that this enemy is adaptive. But then, the list gets stranger. 84 cans of Amasco engine oil, 2 sacks of quick juice, that sweet drink sachets you see everywhere, 4 gallons of groundnut oil. Let's think about those items for a second. 84 cans of engine oil. That is not for personal motorcycles alone. That is logistics. That is maintaining weapons, maintaining those motorbikes, keeping the machine running. The groundnut oil and the juice, that is feeding an army. They weren't just moving fighters, they were moving supplies. Another angle to this issue is the origin of these supplies. Where were they coming from? Where were they headed? The military says they conducted a limited exploitation of the area immediately after the firefight. They had to be careful. In that terrain, an ambush can sometimes lead to another ambush. They will conduct a full search once they secure picket positions, meaning once they set up small fortified posts to ensure the area is truly safe. Now, let us look at this clearly. Every single one of those items, from the bicycles to the engine oil to the juice sachets, represents a plan that was disrupted. It means somewhere out there, a group of insurgents is now short on supplies. It means they might have to make a risky move to get more, which could expose them to another strike. But let's not forget the vigilantes. These are local men, civilians, who have chosen to stand shoulder to shoulder with soldiers to defend their communities. They know the faces, they know the language, they know when a stranger doesn't belong. Their intelligence is often the difference between a successful operation and a tragic one. Imagine the relief in the nearby communities when word spreads that the military has struck again. For the people of Gwoza, every ambush foiled, every supply line cut means one less night of fear. It means children can sleep a little easier. It means farmers might be able to tend their fields without looking over their shoulders every 5 seconds. From this point, we need to understand that this operation near Papa 7 is not an isolated event. It is part of a sustained pressure campaign by the Joint Task Force.
The military calls it maintaining an aggressive posture. That means they are not just waiting in barracks for attacks to happen. They are going out, setting up ambushes, patrolling aggressively, and denying the insurgents what the military calls freedom of action. You see, insurgency is not just about guns and bullets. It is about logistics. It is about food, fuel, and medicine. When you cut those things, you weaken the fighter. You make him hungry. You make his motorcycle useless. You make his guns rust. The recovery of these items might seem small compared to a high-profile battle, but in the long war of attrition, this is how you win.
So, here is the question I want to leave with you today. What more can be done to support these troops and the vigilantes? They are out there in the cold, in the dark, waiting for an enemy that knows the terrain just as well. They are doing their part. Are we doing ours to ensure they have the equipment, the intelligence, and the morale to keep going? If this story gave you a glimpse into what our security forces face daily, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share this video. Let people know that beyond the headlines, there are men and women in uniform and brave civilians who are standing guard so that the rest of us can sleep. As we wrap up this story, I want you to hold on to that image. 84 cans of engine oil lined up as evidence. To the ordinary person, it is just a pile of supplies. To the insurgent, it was survival. To the soldier, it is proof that the strategy is working. The road to peace in Borno is long. It is paved with sacrifices, with early mornings and sleepless nights, with ambushes and firefights. But every time our troops walk away from an encounter like this, every time they recover these supplies and send the insurgents running in disarray, that road gets a little bit shorter. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, security is a shared responsibility. Thank you for watching.